Hello everyone, welcome back. It's episode 3 of the Technician's Guide to Terraria Expert Mode. I'm Enigmius, and today, butterflies everywhere. But more importantly, we're done with the event arena. At least the original version, the first iteration is done. We're going to take a look at that today, but before we do that, we have to talk about another boss kill. I can't say that this one was accidental because I had to trigger it, but it didn't last very long, as you can see. And I don't feel bad. Like I said, we're going to make up for these kind of strange early game boss kills with all 3 bosses, mechanical bosses at once. And we're going to put ourselves to the test with that sort of thing. It's not just all 3 mechanical bosses, it's all 3 mechanical bosses in expert mode. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. The next thing that we need to do, take a look at the changes that we've made to the arena since the last episode, because there are quite a few. They're not particularly complicated, but they're very, very significant, specifically dealing with managing the amount of lava that's in the reservoirs on either side of this thing, so that when one side is uneven, it'll balance out on its own. If one side or both sides are over full to the point where even this balancing reservoir is full, it'll spill over into this third reservoir, which will pump it down. Actually, I need to equip this. Actually, we're just going to hold it. You can see it goes from this pump, and then this one branches off to the other pump. They all come together, and then they go down, and then they go all the way across, and then to this pump here, which is a straight shot all the way down to the underworld. So if we have any overflow lava that we can't contain, we don't have to worry about it being set loose anywhere in the world where we don't want it. It's just going to go straight down to the underworld, where it's basically all lava anyway. And then it's done and dealt with, and it's probably the best thing I could come up with. I have to point out, it's Halloweenish time as we're recording this, which is why we've got pumpkins growing in the grass, and why we've got this slime dressed up as a bunny. Either that or it's a bunny dressed up as a slime. I don't know, but monsters are in costumes. It's kind of entertaining, but if you're wondering why you're seeing strange things, that's why. So let's put this back here so we can hide it. So basically what we've got from this wall here over is the primary reservoir that feeds the lava curtain that we have up top. We showed that off in the last episode. It wasn't quite working, but it was working enough so that you can see, you get this idea. We're going to have lava flowing from the ceiling, from these pumps here, down into this reservoir, so that anything that wants to fly across during an event has to go through this barrier of lava. And I was originally thinking it would be like a trickle kind of thing, 3 individual trickles. It's actually more like a wall with holes. It's greatly improved over the original concept of just a trickle. And the other side is exactly the same. It's got a reservoir, feeds lava up to here, and then it's got the balancing reservoir. There's one here, and there's one on the other side as well. And this is where, if there's an overflow, say, for example, there's hardly any lava in this side at all, but this one is overflowing, because we talked about that mechanic. When you pump a liquid from one place to another, you end up with more coming out than went in. And as a result, eventually, if you leave it long enough, it will overflow whatever container you had originally put it in, unless you're putting it in like the world as your container. So what we have is this system where the first one to start overflowing will send lava over to the other side, or if it was this side that was overflowing and this side only had a little bit in it, it would send lava over to this side through this pump here, and it would fill this up until they were both equal, and then when they're both overflowing, that's when they spill over into the third reservoir, and they get sent over to the column that goes directly down to the underworld. What the hell is that? They have the eyes have strange costumes, and I can't tell what they are, but that's the thing. Anyways, the one weakness that I noticed, and it's going to be very, very easy to fix, is, especially with the pirate event, we had parrots that would fly up from underneath, and they'd go up like this, and then they'd wedge themselves in this corner because they're trying to get to me, and I'm standing up on this platform up here. They can't get through the wall of lava. They can't get through any of the other walls anywhere else, so they basically just wedge themselves in the corners here, and also over here. And I'm just pointing this now because you'll see it in the segment where we do the pirate invasion. And those were the only guys that I gave myself liberty to kill with anything at all, other than the traps and the lava and all the other things. Because if I didn't kill them, they were just going to slow things down. There was really no reason to slow anything down, so we just kind of used the yo-yo to shoot through the floor here and kill them. Except for one. I got a little excited. There was a parrot that was passing through the lava wall, and I zapped him with the yo-yo. I didn't have to. He would have been dead before he made it through the lava, but it was just one of those things I couldn't help myself. So now we get to take a look at the pirate invasion versus our event arena. Now, the only thing I have to remember with this thing is to turn everything on. That's kind of the thing. There's really only two switches that I need to worry about. One of them is a timer that I just turned on, and that starts the overflow pumps. They're on their own separate circuit. It was easier for me to set it up that way because there's so much going on with the rest of the circuits. And then the other switch that I press or flip that turns everything else on. It turns on all the traps, it turns on the lava pumps, it turns on everything that we need in order to handle this event. And that's exactly what happens. The event gets handled. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about this. I'm going to let you guys see the entire event if you want to watch it from start to finish. Because it's the pirate invasion, realistically speaking, you're not going to see a lot. You can see a guy managed to spawn. A couple of guys actually managed to spawn off to the right. And I think what happened is they spawned on top of one of the walls and immediately jumped into the giant reservoir of lava where they were killed without any issues. The only downside to a situation like that is if they're dropping any loot, there's a possibility if it's considered a lower quality, like for example coins, it'll be destroyed in the lava. So it's not ideal that they're going in there, but at the same time, I'm not really heartbroken to see them going in there. Most of the guys are spawning in the kill box. And part of what makes this not necessarily the most interesting thing to watch with events like this is if you can't see them. All you can see is the damage scrolling up on the screen, and that's your indication that the bad guys are taking the beating that they're supposed to. Later on, when we get into events where the monsters are larger, like the Pumpkin Moon event, the Frost Moon event, where, you know, a monster is 5 or 6 times the height of the player, that's when it gets a little bit more interesting and a little bit more terrifying because those events are quite a bit less forgiving. But you can see here, there we go with the Terrarian killing the parrots that snuck up into the corners and just basically sit there. All we're doing when we're killing those is we're freeing up the slots that monsters can be spawned in. You can only have so many monsters spawned at a time. So if you got guys stuck like that, it's just preventing other monsters from spawning, and it slows down the event. But we've got the lava thing working. It's doing quite well. I'm quite pleased with it. You can see every once in a while it thins out just a little bit, and then it kind of gets back up to speed and it goes to full width, which is a hell of a lot wider than I was ever expecting it to be. And anything that tries to go through that so far has basically melted. Oh, we've got a couple guys jumping in from the left. So really, if it weren't for the parrots that were wedging themselves up, oh, there's some more. They're wedging themselves up in the corners. I could literally just stand here and the entire event would take care of itself. And that's kind of the goal. If we couldn't handle this kind of event, hands off, without having to worry about getting killed or not completing the event in time, if it was a timed event, then we probably wouldn't have a very good event arena. But the fact that we've got lots and lots of monsters being killed before we even really see them is an indication that we're doing all right. Now, that's not to say that we're going to be able to leave it as it is for the more difficult events, but as a first iteration goes, this is pretty decent. So like I say, I'm going to let you watch the rest of this all the way through to the end and get everything turned off and then go down and see what kind of loot we got at the bottom of the kill box. That's the real fun part. And then in the next episode, I think we're going to be going after a boss of the mechanical variety. I think I have spawn items for the worm and the twins. One or the other. Either way, I think the worm, the Destroyer of Worlds, would be easier with this setup because everywhere it goes, there's the damage that could cause it damage. But twins also could be a good one because we've got a lot of room to work. We've got flight on our side, and again, we've got all kinds of damage happening all the way around everywhere. So we've got a couple of options available to us, and we're going to be starting into the bosses that can be a little bit more dangerous, although I'm not expecting them to be super difficult necessarily with the gear we have. But we're going to do what we can to let the arena itself do as much as possible and see how it fares. So if you want to be notified about that video, the easiest way to do that is to subscribe to my channel or follow me on social media. Links for social media in the information box below the video. Leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.